Reading out of the book of Ecclesiastes. Read out of Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse. I'm going to start at verse 4. Okay. Actually, let's start from 3:1. Ecclesiastes 3:1, it reads, "To everything there is a season and a time, to every purpose under the heaven." Okay. And that heaven is dealing with where we preside right now. This is the current heaven, okay? And in the new heaven and new earth is going to be led by Yahweh Shai, the prophets, the saints, and the angels, okay? Verse 2. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. Verse 3. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. Verse 4. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. Verse 5. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. Okay. Verse 6. A time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away. Reading on. Verse 7. A time to rend and a time to sue, a time to keep silence and a time to speak. This is the point here. Verse 8. A time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. First, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem, Rakakodash. Double honor to the mighty men, the elders, and the apostles in the community, waking up the lost sheep of the house of Israel in these last days. Peace and blessings to everyone doing this truth and humble and sincerity. Again, I'm going to say Shalom. This is your brother Yahweh Sab coming after another video. And we're gonna quickly post this copyright disclaimer. Okay, I'm gonna post the disclaimer first. Fair use disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purpose such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarships, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by a copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. The copyright laws of the United States recognize a fair use of copyrighted content. Section 107 of the United States Copyright Act states, notwithstanding provisions of sections 106 and 106A, the fair use of the copyrighted work includes such use by reproduction of copies, phono records, or by any other means specified by that section for a purpose such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teachings, scholarship, research, is not an infringement of copyright. Copyright disclaimer, fair use. Okay. I have, okay, for YouTube, I'm going to post 4 videos for the audience. I got a series of 4 videos I'm going to post. And the very first video, I'm going to show y'all in this post how Russia is expanding this war to Europe. Actually, it wasn't Russia. It was Ukraine. And this war, it's turned global just based on this account. Check out what Ukraine has caused and where this war is headed. I'm going to quickly play this video.
My dear truth seekers, unfortunately, I have to admit that my optimism that humanity will never face a new global war is fading with each passing day. Unfortunately, everything indicates that we may soon witness not only the beginning of a direct clash between Russia and NATO states, but also the emergence of numerous mushroom clouds over the European Union and Britain. My friends, on this pessimistic note, I would like to draw your attention to a shocking incident that occurred at the end of May, with one of the new members of the North Atlantic Alliance. As you probably already guessed from the title of this video, we are talking about Finland. Yes, it is about the very Finland that so desperately wanted to join NATO to receive protection from its eastern neighbor. However, unfortunately for the Finnish authorities, the reality proved that Finland faced a mortal danger not from the east, but from the south. From Ukraine, which Helsinki had been pumping with weapons for years, at the expense of Finnish taxpayers. So, on June 2nd, the authoritative Finnish publication Helsingin Sanomat published an article that had the effect of an exploding bomb. In particular, Finnish journalists managed to find out the details of the emergency that occurred in Finland a few days ago. Back then, Finland's Ministry of Internal Affairs issued an air alert and urged almost 20 million residents of the Uusimaa region, which includes the country's largest city, Helsinki, to seek shelter immediately. All this led to a real panic in the country, as a result of which air traffic over Finland's southern regions was completely paralyzed. It is noteworthy that all this time, the Finnish authorities mumbled and refused to explain exactly what happened. And only recently, thanks to Finnish journalists, the world finally learned the truth. Thanks to their source in the Finnish Defense Ministry, they learned that on the night of May 27, representatives of the Kiev regime urgently contacted the Finnish authorities and warned that the Ukrainian military had mistakenly launched dozens of kamikaze drones towards Finland. My friends, to be honest, I was shocked when I found out that Ukraine, a country that wants to become a member of NATO and the European Union, allegedly mistakenly launched dozens of kamikaze drones towards Finland. Although Finnish journalists call the incident a mistake by the Ukrainian officers who entered the wrong coordinates, I categorically disagree. The fact is that no matter how hard you try, it is impossible to confuse the coordinates of Russian targets with the coordinates of Finnish cities and villages that are thousands of kilometers apart. All that has happened is the real systemic idiocy of the top military and political leadership of Ukraine. After the collapse of the USSR, it was this systemic idiocy that led Ukraine to complete self-destruction. As for the Ukrainian drones launched towards Finland, the journalists admitted that they never entered the country's airspace. According to them, these drones were shot down by Russian air defense systems over the Gulf of Finland. By the way, although the leadership of the North Atlantic Alliance prohibits NATO states from making public incidents with Ukrainian drones, in order not to destroy the myth of innocent Ukraine, such cases periodically come to the surface. For example, Finnish law enforcement official Risto Lohi, during an interview with journalists, admitted that there are dozens of fallen and unexploded Ukrainian drones in the Finnish forests, and that all of them pose a great danger to both residents of the country and tourists. Moreover, American experts from the Institute for the Study of War admitted that over the past 3 months, more than 300 Ukrainian drones have fallen on the territory of Finland, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania.
Okay, now based on this account, we see where this war is headed. It's turned into a global conflict. And at some point, missiles are going to fly throughout different parts of Europe. And ultimately, they're going to hit America. Like I told y'all last week, this war with Russia and Ukraine, that was really Ukraine versus America. But you can see what Ukraine is doing to expand this war. They basically created a false flag incident to further conflict, and they're backed by these elite families out of UK, America, and other parts where they reside. And now you have that conflict only expanding. Okay, we have another, give me a second. In the next video, I want to show you guys how America's just not getting out this conflict. I don't like how they continue to lie. The next video, it's only a minute. It's like a minute and maybe 15 seconds. Mark Rubio is going to lie with a perfect face, alleging the war is over. He's doing everything the president's doing. These guys have perfected the art of deception. The war's not over. Okay? The thing that irked me with this video is how he's accusing Iran as being this big bad guy on the block, and the records show it was America that started this war February 28, 2026. And now they're playing the victim villain. So let's listen to Marco Rubio.
Yeah, look, the operation Epic Fury is concluded. We achieved the objectives of that operation. I'm not going to, we're not cheering for an additional situation to occur. We would prefer the path of peace. What the president would prefer is a deal. The operation is over. Epic Fury, as the president notified Congress, we're done with that stage of it. Okay, we're now on to this project of freedom. Now, what's really important for you to report and for everyone to understand is this is not an offensive operation. This is a defensive operation. And what that means is very simple. There's no shooting unless we're shot at first. Okay, we're not attacking them. But if they're attacking us or they're attacking a ship, you need to respond to that. This is defensive. So if you hear stories about attacks and launching of firing back and forth, it's not back and forth. We are only responding if attacked first. This is a defensive operation. The Iranian regime cannot be allowed to dictate who uses this vital waterway. There is no international law that allows you to say, I'm going to put mines in an international body of water and I'm going to blow up ships that don't listen to us and try to go through. That's what Iran is doing. This is a criminal act.
Okay. And that lets you know that America is one giant hypocrite, man. When you look at that laugh of a breakdown from your this so-called lawmaker, it's funny that America continues to push this narrative like they're the good guys. No, they started a war that's created a global famine. You have a world war that's starting to expand, and guess what? The United States and their ally in the Middle East, they're the enemies of the state. And they just continue to sell lies. But ultimately, America's going to get judged for what's happening, okay? So I want to share that. I'm on next video, excuse me. Next video clip is from famous YouTuber. Of course, I've been using him. It's a short clip, about 4 minutes, from the Midas Touch Network. And he's going to show you the details on how bad this situation has turned, okay? America's been singing this song, no nukes for Iran, no nukes for Iran, no nukes for Iran. And let's see if the Russians agree. So we're going to play this clip.
Donald Trump is panicking as Iran has announced that it just signed a $25 billion nuclear deal with Putin. Putin and Iran forging this nuclear alliance after Donald Trump demanded that Iran return all of its nuclear material, including nuclear dust. We're hearing now what Putin just had to say following this announcement. He says, quote, Iran is a friendly state for us. I believe that the Iranian leadership and the people of Iran trust us. They fully trust us. And by the way, in the future, this uranium could be used once we reduce the enrichment level. This uranium could be used for peaceful purposes, for nuclear power, and our nuclear projects in Iran under IAEA control. Notice the key word could, Russia asserting itself as the main mediator, arbiter, and protector of Iran right here. And this would seem claim to be giving a gigantic middle finger to Donald Trump and saying, we're not scared of you at all, while you claim to be negotiating nuclear material with Iran. We're going to do a $25 billion nuclear deal with Iran, is what Putin's saying. So how does Donald Trump respond? Well, this is breaking news moments ago. The Pentagon is expected to cancel plans to provide Tomahawk missiles to Germany, citing concerns that Russia could view the deployment as an escalation. In other words, Donald Trump is afraid to give Tomahawks to Germany for defensive purposes because that would anger Putin. But Putin has no problem giving $25 billion in this deal to Iran for the generation of more nuclear material in Iran. Putin also said the following about Iran moments ago. The people of Iran have shown cohesion and their will to fight. This is a factor that undoubtedly should be taken into account as we find a solution to that crisis, because he says, we understand that Donald Trump and his administration, well, they are distracted right now. They are forced to tackle this issue now. And he said, Donald Trump didn't expect the Ukraine problem to be so hard, referring to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And Putin goes, some things don't seem too complicated, but as soon as you delve deep into the problem, it turns out there are many unknowns. Then Donald Trump sent his envoys, specifically the people who are helping him with his ballroom, to Russia to attend a Russian economic conference where Russian envoy Kirill Dmitriev announced that Russia and the U.S. are working towards a massive economic cooperation deal to build a tunnel between Russia and Alaska in the Bering Strait. And the guy working on Trump's ballroom was showing off the ballroom at the St. Petersburg Economic Conference in Russia. Now, moments ago, we got an alert from the U.S. State Department. Security alert for all Middle East countries, warning of a potential for hostilities to resume, instructing U.S. citizens locate to the nearest shelter immediately, after the U.S. has given Iran a new end-of-week deadline, a new deadline from Donald Trump. Either take our deal or we're going to attack you. Well, Iran and Russia just announced a $25 billion nuclear deal while you're begging to do deals with Putin while screwing over our NATO allies. We know now that multiple U.S. Air Force assets are currently airborne in the region, with 6 C-17 Globemaster aircrafts leaving the Middle East towards Europe. The IRGC says its forces have been placed on full combat alert, with units now instructed to stand ready for immediate execution of the orders. Now, how is Donald Trump reacting to Putin doing this deal with Iran? Well, here's what Donald Trump said about Mojtaba Khomeini. He says he's a good guy. He's got a good reputation in some circles, actually. People think the Ayatollah is a good guy. Here, play this clip.
But with that being said, he's probably I don't know. He's probably a professional. In some circles, he has a very good reputation, actually. Sometimes some people say bad, but a lot of people say bad about me. It's totally false, of course.
Okay. So that's where this war is going. It's a 100% nightmare scenario for the United States, and it's going to get worse. Okay. There was never a ceasefire. There was never real negotiations. I don't know why they keep selling there's negotiations. There is no negotiations. And America caught themselves attacking Iranian boats. That was probably a nightmare's decision. Because in the next video clip, this is probably the last one. This is the last one, I believe. Check out the damage that happened to Kuwait. And it's crazy. We all grew up under Bush. A lot of us grew up under Bush Sr. Remember the original Gulf War? How Kuwait was compromised and America sent its troops to somewhat push off, I believe this was Saddam Hussein in the 90s. Look what's happening to Kuwait now. I'm gonna run this clip.
Iranians will never surrender to the enemy's false narratives and fabricated achievements, the IRGC declared. The statement further claimed that Iran's military and security apparatus had successfully imposed new realities on its opponents, both politically and militarily. With tensions running high and military flashpoints multiplying across the region, the Guard Corps is signaling that it sees the current confrontation not as an endgame, but as the continuation of a much larger struggle. And in one of its strongest statements in recent months, the IRGC is making clear that in its view, the battle is far from over.
Boom! This is the exact moment an alleged Iranian drone struck Terminal 1 of Kuwait International Airport on June 3rd. Kuwait's General Directorate of Civil Aviation, DGCA, released surveillance footage of the alleged Iranian drone strike at Kuwait International Airport. The footage captured the explosion and its aftermath, which authorities described as a brutal Iranian aggression carried out using hostile drones. The footage appears to show a drone striking the roof of Terminal 1, triggering a massive fireball. Another angle revealed the scale of the attack and the resulting explosion, showing thick plumes of black smoke rapidly engulfing the area. The scenes inside the airport were terrifying. What appeared to be a normal day quickly turned into a near-death experience for people walking and standing inside the terminal. CCTV footage shows a massive blast wave racing across the area, shaking buildings and triggering panic among those nearby. The footage also reveals extensive material damage, with people running for cover as shattered glass rains down around them. The strike, which killed one Indian national, also damaged diplomatic missions in the surrounding area. According to the country's health ministry, 63 people were injured, including airport employees and passengers. The incident marked the first major case in which Iran allegedly targeted key U.S. allies Kuwait and Bahrain amid the ongoing regional conflict.
Okay, that's pretty bad. That's really bad. And unlike the time of Bush Sr., that America military don't exist. You have a damn pirate cult of personality leadership controlling America. And as I said last week, America military is weak. What are they going to do to stop the damage that just happened in Kuwait? Not much. Because if you have Russia and China aiding Iran, the direction of this war is only going to get worse for the United States of America, okay? While they're into baseball, basketball, and entertainment, and what next movie's surfacing, okay? No one's considering the Judgment Day, okay? I'm gonna always tell you on this platform, the God Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, okay? Excuse me. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that's Yahweh, as my hoodie shows, Yahweh being the Father and Son, Yahweh Shai. Well, they're going to clean this wicked kingdom up. America is not getting back to normal. The only thing happened, I'd say about 3 weeks ago, the only thing happened 3 weeks ago is they went to China, mainly on that whole chip ordeal, that whole tech gathering. That was the only thing they achieved from that trip to Beijing. And like some of the elders is teaching, which I agree, they are trying to push a digital, they are trying to push this new digital way of life on the people, and based on this digital time that we're living, you can't rule out, the MOTB. You just can't rule it out. I would never ever rule that teaching out. There's a lot of fight with that conversation, but let's get it. And I'm gonna end this video. Now, I'm gonna say this. I do believe before they can achieve that, consider the war. Consider the Israelis a state. They're very weakened. Economy's busted. Their weapons are fading. I've been pushing this on this channel often. Samsung option. That's the sleeper. That's the unknown time. That's the unknown time that's going to give in. And when they go nuclear, the rest of the world goes nuclear. And the deliverance will play out. Okay? Let's get Revelations. Let's get Revelations real quick. And I'm going to end this video. I'm not going to make a long video. I want to get the book of Revelations. Let's get Revelation chapter 13 and 1. It reads, "And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his head the name of blasphemy." Okay, that's going into this demonic beast network that's currently ruling the earth. Okay, verse 2. "And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. His feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority." Okay. Verse 3. "And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wounds was healed, and all the world wondered afar after the beast." Okay, when you read Revelations, the 20th chapter, it gives you a little short summary on how they fell. Okay, this is dealing with that dark age period when the Israelites fell and Edom rose to power. Okay, let's read on. Okay, verse 4. Check this out. It says, "And they worshiped the dragon which gave power unto the beast. And they worshiped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him?" And this beast is really talking about the United States of America. Okay, that's the beast network. That is the Slovakia. America is the belly of the beast. It is its core engine. Okay, let's read on. Let's read verse 6. We're going to go down to verse 6. It says, "And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against the Most High, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven." Okay, again, that heaven is on earth. And this is dealing with the brothers of Mashal Yashala, okay, that keep the commandments, that call on Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, the men of the Lord teaching the truth in these last days. That's us. And all the camps out there teaching Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Okay. Let's read verse 7. It says, "And it was given unto him to make war with the saints." The saints is the Israelites. Okay, let's read on. "And to overcome them, and power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations." Okay. Verse 8. "And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, and whose names are not written in the book of the Lamb of Life, slain from the foundation of the world." Okay. We're going to read, I need the 16th verse. Let's go to Revelation 16. We're going to start at chapter 14. We're in Revelation chapter 14. And I'm going to start at verse Revelations 14, we're going to start at verse 4. Revelations 14 and 4 says, these are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. That's more so spiritual and literal for some. These are they which follow the Lamb, wheresoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto the Most High and to the Lamb. And in their mouths was found no guile, for they are without fault before the name of the Most High. And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth. And that gospel is the teaching of the Most High's commandments, not Christianity, not Mormonism, not all them silly religions out there. This is a heritage for the children of Israel, the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. Let's read on. Okay. Verse 7. Saying with a loud voice, fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea and the foundations of the water. Okay. Verse 8. And there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drunk of the wine of the wrath of fornication. Okay, and that's basically a lavish lifestyle of sin and devil worship. The very thing America pushes 24/7. And this is why the Lord's going to destroy this place suddenly. Okay? Let's read on. We're going to go back to the book of Revelation 13. Okay? Revelation chapter 13 and verse 16. We're going to start at Revelations 13 and verse 14. Check this out. Here we go. And deceived them that dwelt on the earth by means of those miracles which he had powers to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image of the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. That's parabolic to that fall and rise. Okay. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Okay. Keep in mind, we're in a digital era, and you got to consider when America went to Beijing, while the tech giants were there. And we know they went to collect these nano machines, okay? And those nano machines are going to be made in law. Just like during the reopening, the Charagma did manifest. Y'all know where I'm going. Y'all remember Vanessa, Maxine, and the laws that were passed? It was late, okay? A lot of brothers thought it was going to come sooner than that, but it did manifest. You couldn't buy or sell unless you got the Vanessa, if you know what I'm saying. Especially in New York City. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So it did manifest. Now, that wasn't the more aggressive version. Y'all know what I'm talking about. This whole digital life that they're trying to put on the people. But it did manifest during that reopening. I didn't take that garbage. And if there's so much to try to push this thing on the people, the answer is no. Okay? Revelation chapter 13 and 15. It says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Because they're making this digital thing. They're fighting to basically get rid of the Constitution and the words of God to, usher in their AI version of Caesar. That's all that's really going into. Okay? It's all a supremacist agenda. And we know who pushed that hateful supremacist agenda. Well, we definitely see the aftermath of it. Why they accuse people of color of being part of a hate group. All thing we're doing is calling on our salvation, but that's considered hate and anti-this and anti-that, while they have started a nuclear war. Except the missiles hadn't flying yet. The missiles hadn't come to the major cities, but that's coming. Okay. Reading on. Let's close out. Verse 16. He caused all both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand and their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Remember during this lockdown, I remember it well, and I'm in New York. I'm surprised I'm able to still give exhortation videos, because I thought, when I reflect on that, I thought I was fired and I was going to have to quickly sell this property and I was going to leave. So I made it clear to authoritative figures regarding my current job, which I won't put on this live. I basically told them in that labor union, I'm out. And I wasn't alone. But even during that period, they forced all types of tests. Okay. That got out of control. But I refused to do it. And, if you're of the God, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you're not getting involved with anything that's going to cause harm to you. And we know cancer spiked at numbers that's pretty terrifying today. Many people have illnesses, but I don't want to get too far. I don't want to get in trouble. Only I can tell y'all, if they go that route, tell them to go themselves, if you know what I'm saying. I don't want to be cursing, but y'all know what I meant by that. Tell them to screw themselves. Okay? The warning signs out there. Why is ICE getting all this money to attack U.S. citizens and kill U.S. citizens as they've been doing? Why they have all these concentration camps in major cities? Okay? Maybe the brothers at GMS have a serious point, and other brothers that believe the teaching. I said it, and I'm going to say it again. You can't rule that you can't rule this thing out no more. And I thought less of it in the beginning. But when you consider this digital era we're in, you can't rule it out. We talking about Amalek. These are the rules of the earth right now. And of course it's directed towards the believers of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Why wouldn't they? Okay? So they pushed those laws not long ago. Who's to say they can't do it again? I wouldn't rule it out. I'm going to read this again. We're going to end it. Revelation chapter 13 and 17. It says, "And that no man might buy or sell, save he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name." Okay. Let's go back to 16 and read that correct. Revelation chapter 13 and 16. It says, "And he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name." Okay. Verse 18. Here's wisdom. Let him that had understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, your elite families. Okay. And his number is 600, 66. The number is 666. That is completion. That's half completion on the left-hand side. Okay. That is the beast that America worships 24/7. Okay. The true number of holiness is 777. Okay. America don't subscribe to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They actually hate the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and they hate Yahusab Israel and all the believers, the elect children of Israel that's calling on our salvation. Okay, they hate us. Y'all know my take on this channel. The feeling's mutual. But when that trumpet sound and these missiles fly, well, those that didn't believe the 12 tribes of the children of Israel, Yahusab Israel, all the elders and the apostles teaching in this community, we told y'all. Because on Judgment Day, on Doomsday, America's going to get whacked by ICBM thermonuclear missiles. Okay? And these missiles are going to hit every major city, probably New York first, Chicago, and all the cities around about this place. And the Lord's going to roast this place in 1 hour, as it's written. Let's get that in Revelations 18. Okay. And what's going to trigger that? Before I end this video, what's really going to trigger that? Because I could be wrong. I could be wrong. It may not come down to that. This whole Samson Act might manifest, because you got to consider right now the Israelis are a very weak state and they have nukes. So I could be wrong. Okay, just to put that out there, I could be 100% wrong. Revelation chapter 18 and verse 8. Revelation chapter 18 and verse 8. It says, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Lord God who judged her. That's doomsday. That's when America get hit and destroyed, and that's also going to usher in the Judgment Day. I'm going to say this before I go, and I said this last week. They're celebrating 250. Most say it's around July 4th. I'm speaking as a man. I'm not saying the world's going to end on July 4th. I'm only speaking as a man. It'd be good if the Most High whacked them at that 250 celebration. That'd be great. Will that happen on July 4th? I can't tell you that. And nor am I going to make that a post for this video. I just wanted to give a brief breakdown on this old mark of the beast and what could happen, right? One more warning, then I'm going to end it. Let's go to Revelations. Let's go to Revelations 18 and verse 2. It says, and he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, it's become the habitations of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Let me read that again. Revelations chapter 18 and 2. It says, and he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, it is fallen, it has become the habitations of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornications with her. Okay? But remember, under this administration, Trump basically put tariffs and embargoes. He basically went for all the nations. EU's turned on America. They don't really know America. It's a new coalition out there And we got to consider, will they turn on America at some point and soon, right? Verse 3. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of fornications, and the kings of the earth have committed fornications with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins, and that you receive not of her plagues. Again, they pushed this thing during the reopening, and I didn't take it. Marshall Yashala, and you can find this on my video channel. We had a summit in Dallas. We told the whole world and these elites, we're not getting involved with your program. And I'm telling y'all, we're not getting involved with no digital anything. Tell them to go screw themselves. That's where we stand. Okay, some of us are going to be martyrs for Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, but it's not worth a bag, and then you get the bag and you turn to dust any damn ways. The answer is no. We're not taking that garbage in the event they push that. Okay? Because if you do this, you're not going to get the kingdom of heaven. And there were mighty men, I won't call no names, took this thing, and others follow suit, even encourage congregations to follow and get involved with some nonsense, knowing the word of God says not to. So that's a warning why, these new decrees roll up on us while we wait on the coming of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. With that, I'm going to give all praise, honor, glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the mighty men, the elders, and the apostles in the community, waking up the lost sheep, the house of Israel in these last days. Peace and blessings to everyone doing this truth and humbleness and sincerity. Israel, I love y'all. We got next. Shalom, family.